Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today, on the table in front of us, we have something new from the folks over at Kershaw. And that is a bit of a rarity on my channel. Thanks, Lola. My dog's getting into something over here. Kershaw is a knife company that has a long history with me. For many years, when I was just a camper and an outdoors person, Kershaw knives were what I carried because that's what they carried at my local Big Five, which is a sporting goods store. As I became a collector, I moved away from Kershaw and into, well, just other things. But I always, of course, maintained a soft spot in my heart for Kershaw, and I want them to make good knives, and they can. The Launch series is an example of that. Every once in a while, they produce some really nice stuff. This year, they released some some 2021 images on like Blade HQ and Knife Center, stuff like that, that made me sort of sit up and take notice because I was really interested in what they were doing. So when a couple of them dropped, I grabbed them because I was curious to see if they were what I was hoping they would be. The first one we're going to look at today is this. This is the Kershaw Bracket. This is an assisted HCR13 MOV blade. It is, as you can see, a really gorgeous cleaver. It has a really interesting steel pivot collar that is just fun to look at and kind of cool. On this side, as you can see, as I said, it is a steel frame lock. And we are at about 55% lockup. Has a very nice deep carry clip with flush mounted screws, which is a very nice touch. The fit and finish on this knife is exceptionally good. And for $39, that is a win as far as I'm concerned. Now, I mentioned that it's assisted. Kershaw's Speed Safe goes back a long time. Most knife collectors are done with it. Like I was here, I wish it wasn't assisted. But this year, they've done something a little differently, at least to my knowledge. Maybe you guys know better than I. But this year, the Speed Safe has kind of a dead spot at the top, which means you can open and close these very easily one-handed, which was a hang-up with the original Speed Safe, which launched the knife on a spring all the way to the top of the frame up here. And so you had to apply equal pressure all the way to close. But this goes to here before the spring kicks in. That is a really nice addition to the assisted model. Now, do I wish this was not assisted? Well, sure. I don't really like assisted knives that much anymore. But Kershaw understands that in their market, a lot of people do. So what they've done is fixed it a little bit so that you get the assisted snap with enough release to make it a one-handed knife. I think it's a great move on Kershaw's part. The bracket here is not a big knife. No. But it is big enough. It has a marvelous choil, but before we get there, I can get all four fingers on the handle, which is very nice. And if I use the choil, I have plenty of room. It's very comfortable. It has jimping here and here, which works in two ways. You can, of course, use the jimping with your thumb at this end, or if you want to come forward, it's perfectly placed for up here as well. And if you're going to use just the tip of the blade, opening packages or something, the jimping up here works equally well for that, which is awesome. Now, I did mention that it's HCR13 MOV, hashtag HCR13 MOV, hashtag super steel. I get it. But here's the thing. A lot of my knives for many years were HCR13 MOV. And here's what I know. I know that it holds an edge, not as well as some steels, but better than others. I know that it is very rust and stain resistant. And I know that if it's done well, it's a perfectly functional budget steel. Much like a lot of steels at this point in the knife community, there's some burnout over it. But look, for a $39 knife, I'm not going to hold them to the fire over it. I think it's a good choice for this knife. Do I wish there was a premium version of this? Well, yeah. I think this thing in titanium and CPM 20 CV and blah, blah, blah would be super awesome. But for what it is, it's very nice. I'm really impressed, and I'm impressed for a couple of reasons. The fit and finish on mine, and this came straight from a store. I purchased this with my own money. This did not come from Kershaw. Is excellent. The grind is even. on both sides of the blade. The flats are even all the way down the blade. The jimping is aggressive without being sharp. The knife is comfortable. There are no sharp edges. It has a free-floating, let's see if we can get that to show up. Let's find, there we go. A free-floating G10 backspacer, which is just super cool. Again, the pocket clip is very nice and deep carry. Got plenty of spring, plenty of ramp, and lots of room for thicker jeans. And with the flush-mounted screws, it disappears very well into the pocket. I like this sort of funky pivot collar. Women Carry Knives calls it the Star Wars or Star Trek look. I don't mind. I think it looks particularly cool. Now, I have not taken this apart, but I do notice that there is an additional screw here, so there might be something, well, I don't know. I may or may not take it apart, but if I do, it's just something to be aware of. It is reversible. The pocket clip will swap over to this side for left-hand carry, although you cannot do anything about where the lock bar is. That's just the nature of the beast. It does have a lanyard hole behind the clip, so they did not give up clip space for the lanyard hole, which is something I really, really like. I've said for years that I wish that, and I do want to point out that there's everything is knocked down. Everything is chamfered. Everything is smooth. It's really good. Look, I know I sound like a fanboy, but I'm not. Kershaw has to work really hard to make me sing their praises, because they do make some stuff that I think is not very good. But look, it's a huge company. Unfortunately, you know, they know that they have a $20 market at sporting goods stores. People that just want a knife to cut stuff for the day or for a few days. And that's awesome. I'm not decrying them for that. What I am saying is that when they put their mind to it, they can do really good knives. And this turns out to be one of them. I think that's really fun. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons while I've got it on the table. Here it is against the bug out. As I said, that was an interesting whistle. As I said, the bracket here is not a big knife. In fact, it is just a little bit bigger than the bug out. And our full-size comparison knife, the full-size Presidio 2, is of course much, much bigger. Heavier too. You know, I know on my channel I say all the time that I like big knives, but here's the thing. There are also small knives that I really, really like. For example, the HEA Designs Hunter. This is a fantastic small knife. I am a fan of the bug out, even though I don't carry it that much, because it is a well-made and very good knife. So just because a knife is small doesn't mean it's going to get the frowny face from me. But it does take something, you know, special to make it really stand out to me. And I got to tell you, for a, what does Women Carry Knives call this? For a small, medium-sized knife for me, the bracket here is done exceptionally well. Let's get the specs out of the way. You get 3 inches of cutting on just under 3.5 inches of 8CR13 MOV. The grip area from behind the choil, right? 1, 2, 3 3/4 if we come around here, but it's 3.5 to right here, which is just at the absolute, my pinky rolls off it just a little bit, but I can still grip it. If you add the choil, you get 1, 2, 3, 4.5 full inches of grip, which is more than enough. That is a really nice grab. The knife itself is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 3/4 inches long. It is a very nice EDC size. Now, it is a steel frame lock, and that means that I don't expect it to be ultra light, but let's weigh it out and see where it lands. Now it has my curiosity piqued. Magic scale. Let's do it in grams first, since that's where we started. We are at 124 grams, or 4.4 ounces. Now look, it's over the ounce per inch that people like, but again, it's an all steel frame lock. So this is all steel. So you're going to get a little extra weight there. But 4.5 ounces for, 3 inches of cutting on 3.5 inches of 8CR13 MOV, not bad. It is a nice thin slice of 8CR13 MOV, and with this high almost entirely high flat grind, you do come down to a very nice edge. And again, even though it's assisted, they built it so that you can one-hand it super easily. That is really nice. If I say nice one more time, I'm going to shoot my... No, I'm kidding. You ever get stuck on a word? If Zach was here with me on the channel, we'd be using the word groovy. Let's go ahead and use the calipers to find out exactly how thin a slice of 8CR13 MOV that is. All right. From the thickest part. Let's do it in millimeters just because that's what I prefer. Hello. Why are you being that way? There we go. 2.7 millimeters. So it is thin. The handle itself at its thickest point is 10.67 millimeters, which is going to be, 0.42 of an inch. That is a reasonably thin handle, and it carries very well. Look, you guys know this, I have knives that range in price from, $20 or $30 upwards of $600 or $700. So at this point, it really is about how a knife feels in the pocket, how it feels in hand, and how it feels to use. And the bracket here is very, very cool. If you like a good cleaver. If you're not a cleaver fan, this isn't the knife for you. I get that. But in my daily EDC, which as I have said pretty much in every video, and I'm tired of hearing it too, but one more time, basically it includes cardboard and packages and packing tape and straps and, the stuff that you do at work. I have never had a cleaver not do all those things for me in a really, really excellent way. And there is enough tip here. If you need to poke it into something before cutting, you absolutely can. And with the jimping up here, if you're cutting into a box and you want to be really careful, this is a great way to do it. It is very, very amenable to all of those tasks. What's my final analysis? Well, this is my final analysis. For the first time in a really long time. Look, I've really enjoyed some of Kershaw's more expensive knives, but for the first time in a really long time, one of their $40 knives is absolutely recommended. If you want a good cleaver with nice action, assisted, yes, but good action because of it, it came absolutely dead-centered from the factory, which is saying something. That is smooth to operate, comfortable to use, good in the pocket, and I think just kind of cool looking. The Kershaw Bracket is probably a knife for you. And that's where we're going to wrap it up. Please subscribe on your way out. I would love to have you here on a regular basis. If you have any questions about the bracket or any of my knives, feel free to ask down in the comments. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.